Podcasting from Portland East to Portland West, from Big Pine Key to Pacific Beach, and from San Juan to Guam, this is All Across America.
I'm the latest cast member. I have not been on for 61 seasons. I look good.
Because General Hospital has been on since 1963.
This is the 61st season. It's the longest running show in television history, and I am the latest cast member.
Wow. Okay. All right. So tell us about your character.
Yeah, well, I'm Pearl, and Pearl is a host of Home and Heart, which is the fictional home shopping channel within General Hospital.
Okay. So tell us about that. And I saw your I've watched a lot of QVC, which I absolutely love. And it is so positive. It is so validating. So tell us about that and tell us how that fits in with the General Hospital theme. And it just such positive emotions.
I love that you are a QVC watcher. I love QVC too. I think it's genius. And it actually had a real renaissance during COVID. It expanded. It's been fantastic. But so what is happening is, just like many people don't even realize that General Hospital is still on the air, even though it still generates anywhere from 2 to 3 million viewers a day. But most of us are watching television in a very different way. We stream television and we do our best to avoid the ads, which is great. And I get it. But unfortunately, ads are what pay for television. So, soap operas are called soap operas because soap used to pay for them.
That's right.
So what we are engaging in is a very new and interesting concept whereby within the show, General Hospital, they have created a storyline where, there is Home and Heart, which is this fictional home shopping network. But Deception Beauty has been a storyline within General Hospital that has existed for over 2 decades. And Deception Beauty is this, bunch of high-powered women who've created all these beautiful products, and there's infighting, but at the same time, you see them develop these products. It's been a fascinating and really educational storyline for a while. And so General Hospital had the idea of bringing deception to life through this home shopping channel. So now I am a host with Morgan Fairchild on Home and Heart within General Hospital, and all of the things that the viewers and the consumers now have seen develop on the show. It's brought to Home and Heart, and then you can buy it at shophomeandheart.com.
Nice.
So this is a new way to bring products that people have had a connection to, they've learned about, they've been interested in for decades, and now they can actually bring them into their own home.
I mean, it's a brilliant business model. It really is. It really is. So, I mean, how is it different? Is it not different at all in Home and Heart versus kind of I was going to say fictitious, but it's not fictitious. It's real.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, I mean, this is very innovative. And again, this is an experimental stage, but I honestly think that this is genius and it's doing really well. I think this is what television is going to, evolve to. Because think about it. If you could have bought like Fonzie's jacket,
I'd be wearing it right now.
Yeah. Or if I could have bought like the hair care products that Monica and Rachel used, So I do think that eventually we're going to get to a point as advertising and television really shifts that, you can buy, this clock on the wall, or you can buy, the sweater that I have on, or you can buy whatever, we're watching is going to ultimately also be an opportunity for you to engage as a shopping experience.
It's an amazing tie-in, and you've seen product placement. It just takes it to another level, and it's like, and again, it's inside of TV, and it's fiction but real. So
it is. So it is real.
How is that for you? Is that weird as playing a character, but you're not playing a character, but you are?
It is. Yeah, no, that is very hard because, being a QVC host, I get to, pick something up and be like, this is my opinion. this is fantastic. It has
Yeah.
4 different colors. It brings joy to my life. I'm able to change opinion with, I explain it from my own perspective.
Sure.
But with television, the writers are a very important and crucial part of, a show like this. And the writers take their words very seriously. So there is no changing their words. So it is very different. So that one acting class that I had in college has really come in handy.
Wow. Okay. I mean, because so much about, I feel like what you all do on QVC is improv.
Yeah.
I mean, you all are just the greatest improv. I mean, it's set upon set, and you've got products rather than, I don't know, an audience member calling out a line from a book. It's impressive. And so you're still giving that same emotive joy to a product, but through some writer up at 2:00 in the morning, working with another dozen writers doing the same thing.
Yeah, it is very different. Because again, when you're on a QVC set, you're learning the product and you just know everything about the product so that you can explain it, like to a friend.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's so amazing, and when I tell you this, you are not going to believe it, but General Hospital literally films anywhere from 50 to 60 scenes a day.
It's a machine. It's impressive.
It's unbelievable. So the amount, they create 250 hours of television per year.
Wow.
So it is extremely nerve-wracking to know that a lot has got to get accomplished in the day, and you get one practice take that is filmed, and then you get one shot. Okay. And if you flub one or both, they'll just splice it together. But that is it. You get literally a filmed practice and a take. And then they got to move on.
That's called professional right there.
It is so scary. But what ends up happening is what you can't see behind the cameras and sometimes on the floor and tucked behind sofas and like literally in shoes and on your arm. We have lines everywhere so that we can remember.
Yeah. Right. That's a smart way to go about it. So let me ask you this. Are you ever worried about, hey, if I flub my lines, they could kill me off so easily?
Yes, I definitely am. It was made very clear to me when I took this on that I had to be dedicated to the memorization because budgets are not what they used to be. The Luke and Laura days and the days when, Liz Taylor was on set, right. That's definitely not the case now. Most people, when I say I'm the latest cast member of General Hospital, they go, oh my gosh, that's so great. It's still on the air. And I'm like, yes, it is. So, it is very different. And the fans are wonderful. And I love that, they are so dedicated to this legacy show, and it's wonderful to be a part of. But you do worry that at any point you could be replaced if you don't get it together. I
remember Downton Abbey when there was the car crash. It was like a thing, but it's not so hard to invent a storyline on any soap opera.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Plausible.
Anything is plausible. And I could be killed off and then my twin sister could come back. So
that's exactly what I was going to say, or something even crazier than that. That is a thing. It's like, hey, let me see if I can I'm gone, I'm dead to them, but let me see if I can get back in their good graces because they'll find a way to bring me back.
Yeah.
So maybe you do have a little bit of leverage. But, we were talking, it's been on, it's a legacy pro for 61 years. You used to watch it with your grandmother. I mentioned it to my wife, and she used to watch it with one of her best friends and my younger son's godmother when they were teenagers. Talk about that.
Yeah, I am really fortunate that it's actually my great-grandmother that I used to experience. It is a complete circle moment for me. Right. I went to a small Catholic school, and we had half Wednesdays were off. Okay. So every Wednesday we got out at 1:00, a little bit early. And I would come home and get out of my uniform, and I called her Big Mama. So I'd go to my Big Mama's house, and she had real Coca-Cola, like the real stuff, the good stuff. And she had Nutter Butter cookies. Okay. So good. And I would get real Coca-Cola and Nutter Butters, and we would watch her soaps. And it was, I mean, I remember she would talk about them. She loved the accents and the storylines. And so we just bonded every week. And so to be a part of the show now is just, I mean, I got the call. I couldn't even believe it. I was like, what? Yes, I want to do that. I absolutely want to do that. So it is wonderful. And I am honored. And it is, I wave to my big mama in the sky all the time, every time I'm on set.
Right. And so where are things filmed?
It's in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles. Okay. Yeah. All right. What neighborhood?
It's Prospect Park. It's Prospect Studios.
Okay.
In Los Angeles. And let me just tell you, on the same lot is Grey's Anatomy.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, another legacy show.
Right. I mean, at this point, it sure is it not?
Yeah. Most
wow.
Definitely.
I mean, so Grey's Anatomy in like 2064 could be the General Hospital of, I don't know. I think General Hospital outlived Grey's Anatomy, but
well, I don't know if anyone's going to beat General Hospital, to be honest. I mean, I think the closest that is even close is The Simpsons.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And I don't even know if you can compare the two, but
not really, because they never age on The Simpsons.
They never age, right? And the truth is, if you were on set, I mean, again, my co-star is Morgan Fairchild. You want to talk about somebody who never ages? I mean, the woman's almost 80, and she's my co-star on this show.
Okay, all right.
But the fact that there are two hospital shows on the lot, I don't think that is a mistake or by I mean, they share ambulances and they share like lights and Bernie's.
I mean, what economy of scale, I guess. So why? I mean, maybe it's because of the universal theme of hospitals and healthcare and bodies. And I mean, why has it existed for so long compared to other soap operas that have gone out?
Yeah, I think it's definitely the writing. The writing has always been, great. They've won, so many Emmys. I don't want to say how many, but because I don't even know.
16 daytime Emmys. I did my research. I may be wrong.
Good for you. I was going to say close to 20, but
all right, I'm probably wrong.
It's great. No, because it's not just for the writing, right? It's their Emmys for. I mean, there's hair, there's makeup, there's lighting, there's the crew, the directors. It's so big. Yeah. It's so big. So but I think that the writing is ultimately what keeps people involved because, believe it or not, I do think that people are kind of getting bored with daily magazine shows. And this year, 2 new soap operas are being introduced. There's a new one on NBC and ABC.
Wow.
Yeah. Or maybe it's CBS. And anyway, there's 2 new soap operas this year. Okay. Which I think is very telling. I think we have all talked ourselves to death, right? And we want to get back to just enjoying a story.
And that's what it is. So tell us about the story. I mean, where do you see it going? Do you have any inclination day to day? Or, I mean, are you showing up on set and...
Not day to day. I mean, when I go there, I'm basically ultimately, doing everything for shop, home, and heart. So right. Okay. I'm primarily right now working with all the people in the deception storyline. Okay. So we have developed, the Deceptor red light therapy wand, and there's the Deceiver serums. And so, when I'm there, I'm not exposed to everything. I'm really just exposed to that little part right now. But I'm hoping and praying I'm going to become someone's nemesis. That would make me so happy.
Yes.
And that sooner or later, someone's going to hate me and I get to do this.
Drama, right.
So, so what I'm exposed to is relatively small in comparison to, all of the storylines as to what you can expect and all that stuff.
I was watching something on like the top 10 moments in General Hospital history. And okay. I mean, no spoiler alert, but spoiler alert, I think you can guess which was number 1.
Yeah, Luke and Laura's wedding.
Yeah. But what they did say was, it was a great quote. Even if somebody gets their fairy tale ending, it comes at somebody else's expense.
Well, that episode, I have to tell you, I mean, I'm 54 years old. So that episode hit just at the same time that, Princess Diana had this amazing wedding. And all of us had like these prom dresses with these big shoulders and like the thing and the thing. Yeah. And like, I mean, there was that show influenced so much. I mean, when I look back on my prom dress, I'm like, good Lord Almighty.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, that one episode was huge. I mean, I don't know what you could even compare it to these days. Because it was just different, right? There were only 3 channels. It was daytime. There were lots more people at home. It's just, yeah, the Luke and Laura wedding was without a doubt the number one episode probably of daytime television of all time.
And so who's the audience these days? Is there a certain demographic, age group?
You would
I
be
presume
shocked.
more women than men.
Yeah, you would be really shocked. So I have had the real benefit of going to a couple of fan events, and there are men there. I mean, my favorite is my husband. Okay, so we have let people know on Facebook and other things that I've gotten this role, and the thing that has been so crazy that I just won't believe, you can't believe it, is our landscape owner. He owns a landscape company. He's got 2 grown sons, and he's been, helping us for a few years now that we've had our farm. He literally responded on Facebook immediately and was like, "Are you kidding? Are you really going to be on that show? I've been watching that show for 42 years." He records it every day.
Wow.
And never misses an episode.
Wow.
So, you've got grown men with, children who are lawyers and doctors who have been invested in this show, for years. And that's just it. Of course, there are people of age who, sit at home and watch it, but you don't have to anymore. You can stream it now. Right, so okay. It's streamed on Hulu, and there are people who are catching it and, enjoying it on a whole new level. So I signed autographs for teenagers and for men in their 80s. So it's a little bit of everything.
So, I mean, that is that thread for me in like the QVC thing in General Hospital. That is so comforting in a way because it has been on. It's like that store that's been open in your neighborhood that your grandparents used to shop at, and I don't know, the guy behind the deli counter knows your name. It is because it's just have that generational longevity. And it's the same thing with QVC, that validation, that making you feel good, and that, I don't know, special place in your heart.
I love that you are so into it. Well, what other things do you like to watch? I'm just curious.
Generally, it's like baseball and basketball and nature stuff. And I mean, do I watch QVC on the regular? No, but I hadn't watched it in years. But then I because you're going to be a guest on the show, as I said, I like to do my homework. And it was on Channel 31. I have an antenna on the top of my roof of my house. I stream like everybody else. I subscribe to a few of the streaming services, and I have an antenna, so I get the basic channels. And I'm flipping through, and Channel 31 was QVC, and I'm like, perfect. And I watched it for a couple of hours, and it was very soothing. I wasn't quite the audience, the tunics and the leggings were, I'm not.
There are 3 channels.
There are. Okay.
There are 3 channels.
Okay.
Yeah. There's one channel that's completely dedicated to culinary and everything for food, for food. Right. And then there's another one that is, mostly tech. So like I said, there was a real renaissance during COVID.
Wow.
But, the thing that makes both QVC and, General Hospital interesting and relatable is the stories. So what you hear when you are watching QVC and Home and Heart is you hear and experience the story of a product. So when you know more about the evolution and who created it and why it was created and, how it's going to benefit you and all the ways that you can possibly use it, it really connects you to the product. And so that's ultimately what is happening within, General Hospital. And of course, what you experience on QVC. You're just much more connected when someone explains the story of a product.
I like that. So tell us a story about some of the products you've created.
Yeah, well, that's very sweet of you. So, the Girly Go Garter is actually my own invention. Okay. And I actually invented it as a mic pack holder for television and film because, some of your viewers may know me, of course, as Pearl on General Hospital, but I've done hundreds of episodes of reality television that really revolve around makeovers, because I was a beauty and style expert for 3 years on Starting Over. I used to do a show called 10 Years Younger. I used to do a show called How Do I Look? And then I had my own show on A&E called Sense of Style. So I've literally done hundreds of makeovers and episodes of television. But, the reality is when you are doing a reality show, the hours are very long. And I was always wearing a mic pack kind of attached to my bra. And after you've worn that hot transmitter for hours and hours, days on end, I just started getting water blisters, and it just was hurting me so much. So I invented a place for you to put your mic pack that adhered to your leg. And of course, there were things similar, but there was nothing that worked once you got hot and sweaty. Okay. So the Girly Go Garter is a hands-free purse that you wear on your leg. It's perfect for transmitters, but I had no idea when I was developing it that it would also be great for insulin users. It's a perfect place to use your insulin pump. Brides use it because you can't lug a handbag down the aisle. Prom goers, because most, high schools don't want you to bring a purse to prom now. Carnivals, festivals, Halloween costumes, all of the times that you don't want to carry a purse, but you still need your money, ID, lipstick, keys. This is a hands-free pocketed garter that will carry up to 3 pounds, and you attach it to your leg.
Wow. That's so where on your leg? I mean, on your thigh, your calf, anywhere?
Your thigh.
Okay. All right.
It's kind of like the strapless bra of handbags. It's like, you wrap it around your leg, and you usually wear it when you're wearing a dress. So just like a strapless bra, you don't wear it every day, but when the occasion arises, you need it in your lingerie drawer. And that's exactly what this is. It's mostly when you wear dresses or shorts or rompers, so that you can just lift it up a little bit and access it right there.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and tell us about some of the other products that you've worked on.
Well, I mean, the Girly Go Garter is, the product that I've developed. And I hold 19 patents on it, and,
Wow.
It's in 80 countries and 6,000 stores. And so that is a product that I literally took from an idea of me sitting and cutting up fabric and brought it to market over the past 15 years. So I am very proud of that. I've written books. I mean, that's bringing a product to market. Let me tell you, you want to talk about birthing something. My book is called Style on a Shoestring. And,
Okay.
I knew that I needed to put my thoughts and my specific spin on style and beauty on a budget into words. But yeah, that was a birthing process in and of itself. Taking that idea, pitching it, finding, a literary agent, and then finding a publisher, and then, writing it, finding an illustrator, like all of that. So that's another product, if you will, that I have brought to bear. But the Girly Go Garter and my book are basically my two big accomplishments in that specific arena.
I mean, that's, tell us about some style tips then, like timeless, like from that book, some that just come to mind, top 3 timeless style
Always.
tips that 2024, 2044, 2004.
I will tell you that, for me, I always offer, women a challenge. I encourage them to try for just 1 month, 30 days, to brighten your lipstick, but wear lipstick every day, all day.
Okay.
And see how things change for you. I know that seems really small, and I know that you can't do this, but I do think that I offer the challenge, because within 30 days, what you realize is that lipstick brightens your face. It brings youth to your face. It whitens your teeth. But we have a very specific advantage here, because we are given the opportunity to draw a big color around our information box. And lipstick encourages people to not only listen to you speak, but to watch you speak. And it will make a huge difference. It's a small thing, but it can really revolutionize. And so I encourage people to change lipstick.
I've never heard it put that way. I mean, it's like highlighting. It's a highlighter.
Right.
I've never heard it put that way. It's so true. It's so true.
It is one of the benefits that we get. So, the other thing when it comes to style and beauty, to be perfectly honest, I believe that, we should have a wardrobe of classics, and that ultimately we should reflect trends in just your accessories. Because if you build a wardrobe that looks great with your body, and this is for both men or women.
Right.
So you want a wardrobe that's really kind of your workforce. It makes you look great. You feel more confident. You feel more, powerful in it. And then you build in anything trendy with something that's easy to kind of take off and offer, a little more disposability.
Right.
So, your shoes, men have socks, you've got ties, you've got hankies, you've got lapel pins. There are lots of ways now that men can be just as expressive as women. So if everything else just looks great and is fitted to your body and makes you look beautiful and handsome, then it's really much more fun to play with your accessories.
I think so. You always don't want to be the only person showing up at the Halloween Halloween party with a costume on, right? And so if you have a few accessories, if you're like overdone or underdone, you could always swap it in and out. But if you have those standards and those classics, you're good to go in pretty much any situation.
And you have to think about cost per wear. So much of our clothing now is what they call kind of disposable.
Yeah.
And it's a waste on so many levels.
It sure is, yeah.
So I'd much rather you invest in things that, are a little evergreen and you can enjoy in your wardrobe for 5 to 10 years,
right.
Depending on how many, pancakes or whatever you enjoy. Because I love a waffle. But, you want to be able to enjoy those things for some time. And then I think it's much. And the other great thing about accessories for both men and women is, you collect those. They come in and out of vogue, if you will, but they're also fabulous to hand down. I was the recipient of my great Aunt Mildred's accessory drawer. And let me just tell you, I still love her lapel pins and her, earrings and fabulous pearls. And so those are also the things that you can hand down, and really people can enjoy those for years and years.
It's like the name Matilda. It's come back.
That's true. Just like Pearl.
That's right. Anything to avoid?
Yes. You definitely want to avoid all black. No offense.
I got jeans on. They're not black.
Okay, good. I will tell you why.
Black person.
Okay, good.
Navy,
I will tell you why.
Navy.
Oh, I'm happy. I thought it was black, so I'm good. Okay, good. So what you have to understand is that if you are looking to get ahead, and if you're looking to, be perceived as more accomplished and more ready and eager and ready to take things to the next level, you can't drape yourself in all black, because what all black says is I didn't know what else to do.
I like that.
So you have to stand in your choices. If you are going to lead, if you are going to be perceived as a leader, then you need to make some choices. And so draping yourself in all black and doing the same thing all the time will be perceived in a way that sees you as not especially innovative, not especially creative, not especially, someone who is thought of as someone who thinks outside the box. So that doesn't mean that you shouldn't look classic and beautiful, but you don't want to constantly wear all black all the time.
It's almost a default, I guess. It's the easy way.
It is a default. And everybody knows that. That's the point. That's what you're saying. I didn't know what else to do. That's what default means.
And so how about folks that maybe do the opposite tact and bring too much color to themselves or too much attention to their wardrobe?
It's a good point as well. There has to be a balance because that also can be, perceived as someone who, it doesn't have a discriminating eye, if you will, or can't edit properly. So it is true. There's a balance. And that's why there's direction out there, like style on a shoestring.
So what else? I guess I'm most interested, like the whole innovative process of it's the go garter. Am I saying
Girly Go Garter? Yeah.
Girly Go Garter. It was an awesome name, and so just tell us that whole process.
Well, there's another story behind there that's a little difficult, and if you want to hear it, I will tell it.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so I will give you a warning. So hold on to your panty loons. So I'm really fortunate. Again, I had the opportunity to do so much television, and I had the idea for the Girly Go Garter, but 5 days before I was getting ready to fly to Los Angeles and start filming the next season of 10 Years Younger, I was out with my then boyfriend, and we were at an ocean club. I'll leave it at that. And everyone was engaging in jumping off this really high rock. It was kind of like a cliff dive, right? And my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, we were sitting on the beach, and I was watching people jump off this edge, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so great! I can't wait. Let's go do that. And he's like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, I'm doing that. I'm that girl. I jump out of airplanes. I bungee. I run marathons. I'm doing that. Yeah. So I swim out. I climb up on this huge cliff, and I jump wrong, and I cut off my right foot. Yeah. Wow. I severed my entire world changed in 3 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, about 3 seconds. And so I jumped wrong. I stood in line to do it, and a rock severed my foot. And I was so grateful, because when I jumped, I could see that I was going to miss the water, and I was going to land on my tailbone. So I shifted myself immediately in midair so that I could land and then push off. And I landed, which was great. And I pushed myself into the water. But in doing that, my right foot took the full impact. So when I hit the water, I felt myself, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I saved my life. Oh my gosh. But then I went to kick, and I could feel the drag, and I could feel that my foot was with tissue skin.
Wow.
So I reached down, and I pulled up my foot, and I look up, and everybody's like having a stroke, and they're like, are you okay? And I literally said, yes, I'm just going to make my way in. I was very calm.
Wow.
But my life changed immediately. Wow. And so the first hospital said they couldn't save my foot. And then, my boyfriend said, I'm not taking that as an answer. So I literally was taken to another hospital, and a doctor was dedicated to saving my foot. And I'm 15 years in. I am, 7 surgeries, a lot of downtime. But while I was in that hospital bed, I didn't know if I was going to walk. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew that God had given me this idea. So within 2 weeks, I didn't want any more painkillers. I just wanted to be able to think. And I started working from my hospital bed on the Girly Go Garter. And I couldn't find anyone in the U.S. to help me really create the adhesive. So I went to Asia by myself on crutches. And I was just determined as hell to make this work. It was going to be, I believe God had given me this idea, and I was going to bring it to life. And so I wrote a business plan. I raised a little money, not a lot, and I just figured it out. And I am so grateful that it was that real 10 years where I didn't know if I was going to have another shot at television. I didn't know if I was going to walk, but I was completely dedicated to, bringing this product to life and having it be, something that I could be proud of in this time that I was kind of figuring it out. So the Girly Go Garter has a really big story behind it, because it was, my tragedy, my product that happened and was born out of great tragedy.
Wow. I mean, do you think it may never have happened if it wasn't for the incident?
I actually think many things would not have happened if it weren't for I don't think I'd be married. I have 3 amazing bonus children who I just adore with every part of my soul.
Wow.
I'd never wanted kids, and I have 3 girls that I get to love and nurture and support their parents being great parents and give to, and, we have a fabulous time together. So, I don't think many things would have been as they are. I have a different perspective on life. I have a different perspective on opportunity, and, how blessed I am, and my dedication. I have known known, or at least I've thought that I wanted to be a centenarian since I saw this really great 60 Minutes interview in my 20s. I always thought I wanted to live to be 100, and now I am dedicated beyond belief to living to be 100. I want to see what's out there, and I'm very, very grateful for my life.
Oh, that's amazing. Are you familiar with the centenarian clusters of the world in Sardinia, Italy, and Icaria, and
the
Greece,
blue zones?
The blue zone. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I spend a month every year, if I can, in the blue zone of Italy. I love,
Wow.
I'm all about it.
Very nice. All right. You're well on your way then. So tell us about your walking. I mean, how is it now? And
yeah. So most people, if you were to meet me today, you would not know that I literally, my foot was off my body. I'm a product of amazing innovation and amazing dedication to making sure, like, I wanted to walk again. I wanted to, people not to, know that I had this accident. And so many people don't. So wow. I was 1,000% dedicated, and, that. And so most people don't. I walk just fine. Now I can't wear super high heels. I can only wear like a little heel, but right. I do miss that because I miss the power of that, Right. As a woman, putting on a pair of heels and adjusting your posture. I mean, I miss it so much. So I don't have all of that, and I can't run. Before my accident, I was a marathoner and I was a triathlete. And so I did all that. So I can't run, but I'll be able to chase my grandchildren and my great grandchildren. So it's totally okay. Yeah. My walking is fine. To be honest with you, I do not think that even one person at QVC or even one person on the set of General Hospital have any idea.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. And so I had a recent injury, something super minor, but I believe it or not, I was running and I fractured my tibia. Oh, so I believe it. So I'm laying low, and of course it happened, and I pretended it was something else. I did some internet sleuthing, and it was incorrect, but I haven't been able to run. So how were you able to channel that energy as a marathoner, as a triathlete, into doing something different? Yeah, I miss it so much. I have to be honest. There's nothing more amazing than the New York Marathon. I mean, you finish the New York Marathon and you literally feel like you could, rule the world. It is just one of the most beautiful experiences in New York City. So I miss marathoning so much. But again, I have just had to shift my gratitude. And I do, I think about how much dedication took to training, to train for a triathlon. I mean, I was training at least 5 days a week, if not, 6. You have to, on the days that you swim, you lift weights, and on the days that you run, you bike. So, you're working out twice a day. I mean, it was wonderful, and I enjoyed it, and I was dedicated to it. But that was a lot of time. So it's a good point. What do I do with my time now? I have done other things. I've developed products. I, stay extremely busy. I've actually started a podcast. My latest obsession, and I know you're going to love this. My latest obsession is with modern dating. Okay. I mean, we are in poo-pooville. I would agree. I mean, modern dating is bananas. So I am doing this big, deep dive into modern dating and what is going on, and how is it that men don't really have drive anymore, and women have lost their power, and the dating apps only exist to make money, but not really exist to make matches. And I am fascinated with modern dating and what's going on. So I've started this whole podcast called The Dating Lab with the Hillbilly Yenta, because my husband calls me the Hillbilly Yenta. Because I'm from Alabama, and he's like a Yankee, and he's half Jewish, and he's like, "You are such a Yenta. You're like a hillbilly Yenta." And I'm like, "Oh, that's so good." So, I'm getting ready to launch this whole podcast series on all the things that I've learned and the people that I've been interviewing. So that's my latest obsession. But it is true. When you have an accident and things shift, and you've put so much energy into something like running, it's what else do you do? And I'll tell you what I do is I listen. I just listen, and I kind of follow whatever, catches my interest. I mean, that's why we have the Girly Go Garter. And that's why, I've done so many things just by kind of listening and walking in faith. And it reminds me of a name, and I don't know if you know this name. She's one of the most important names in love in the United States, and she recently passed away. Helen Fisher.
I do know Helen Fisher. Oh
And
my
she
gosh, I
was
didn't know she passed away.
yeah, she was the chief relationship officer for Match. I forget her official title, but I knew her, and she was a wonderful woman. She was at Rutgers when I was there as well, and she was really the guru, at least behind the psychology of
Yeah.
love.
Well, it's interesting because I think that the original purpose of all of the dating sites were just fantastic. But, the top 10 dating sites are all owned by the same hedge fund at this point.
There's nothing sexier than hedge fund.
Right? I mean, think about that. So not only, you think that you are doing something different on this one or that one, but the truth is they're all owned by the same company. The top 10 are all owned by the same company. Wow. And, they make money when you fail.
It's the truth. 100%. You're speaking facts.
Yeah. So I am really fascinated about algorithms and how, all of that work. I would have loved to have been able to interview Helen Fisher, let me tell you.
So what are your topics? What are your themes? What are you excited about?
Yeah. Well, do you have friends who engage in ghosting?
Ghosting, it's so I'm against it. Nobody should ghost. It's
I am
terrible.
so fascinated by ghosting, and I have a few theories that I've been working on. So I think that we now have a couple of generations that have really spent most of their life in a virtual world and not really a real world. Yeah. And so when it comes time to have like real conversations and real, courage, they're just used to turning it off.
Right.
Or stop, you hit
it's the
stop
easy way out.
Or right. They're not used to having the courage to have the conversation, but ghosting is such a mind poo-poo. It is so hard on people because was it my breath? Did you not like my perfume? Did I remind you of the yucky girl in kindergarten? It's so hard on a girl's mind and men too. And so I think we all have got to get to a point where we have the courage to just be like, I just don't think we're a match. I think you're wonderful, but I don't really like our communication style. I'm not really sure. They're just something we need to be able to have these conversations. You can't hit stop on everything. And that's what ghosting is in my mind.
That's what it is. And you wonder, it is, to me, it's the easy way out. And there's a better way to do it. And ghosting begets more ghosting is the problem. And it becomes a virus.
And again, it's so hard on us when we don't know what we did or what we said or what it could have been. So the topic that I'm fascinated about is ghosting for sure. Okay. And then the other thing is toxic masculinity. I am completely obsessed with this because I love men. I love masculinity. I love being pursued when I was dating. I think that men are awesome. And so it feels as if we're living in a culture right now where being a man has somehow become a bad thing. And I just am like, wait a minute. Men are awesome. They're great. They're different from us because we are, feminine creatures. And so, some of us, right? 30% of women now in the US identify as either lesbian or bisexual, which is also how did we get here? This is crazy. Good for you. But I'm like, there's a lot going on with modern dating. So yeah, I'm kind of delving into all of it.
What are the most positive things in dating? What else? What's the other side of that?
Well, there are a lot of positives. I'm so glad you mentioned that because it's so often that, and I do a lot of podcasts that I feel like all you end up doing is complaining. So
it's easy to do,
right? It's so easy to do.
A lot to complain about.
Yeah. So I'm really glad you asked that because there are some amazing positive things. The fact that, we live in an age where we can make matches with people all over the world. I would have never met my husband if it weren't for a dating app ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I would have never, Well, I mean, I was living in New York City and my husband was living in Boston. And I was very specific that I was looking for someone within 5 miles who had, no kids or grown kids and preferably dead parents.
How'd that work out?
It didn't. Let me just tell you, he had 3 babies and his mom lived across the street. So, my grandmother used to say, man plans and God laughs, and God laughed hard at me. So, I believe that we do live in an age where there are, wonderful opportunities to meet amazing people. And there are wonderful, big-hearted, well-intentioned people on these apps. You just kind of have to, be able to navigate it with a little more discriminating eye. We'll put it that way. But I am learning those tips. But the other great thing about dating is there are a lot of people who are turning away from the dating apps and really trying to get out there and meet people the old-fashioned way. Whether it's at the grocery store or the laundromat or meetup places. There's a lot going on for the younger generations to truly try to remove themselves from the apps and actually meet up. I mean, in New York City, there are dinners and there's a whole singles running club with like thousands of people who meet up on Saturdays and run all over the city. So there's a lot happening in modern dating that's also really exciting and very new and innovative. So it's not all bad, but again, it is a platform that I am just crazy. Oh, let me tell you this part. So there's this thing that I just found out about that's called Tinder Interrupted.
I like it.
Yeah. And so what this is it's basically you bring a friend and so everybody at an event has the opportunity to get on stage and behind a huge screen pitch their friend's Tinder profile.
Wow.
So you get to tell the audience of all single people what is so great about your friend. I mean, how awesome is that? I mean, because I've got amazing single friends. Nothing would make me happier than to be able to sing their praises and tell the world you are missing out if you don't capture this hot mama. You know what I mean? So I actually think this is another thing that's fabulous. And I'm giving a little toot to their horn. It's called Tinder Interrupted. It's happening right now, like in New York City and I think San Francisco.
Okay. So this is a live event.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's lots of positives. I'm so glad you asked that.
I mean, so what are signals that a man or a woman could give off to attract someone that they are interested in?
So let's talk flirting, shall we? Oh, it's one of my favorite topics. Okay. So because flirting has been lost because now in the corporate world, flirting has kind of been beat out of us, right? We can't compliment each other. We're not supposed to speak about anyone's appearance. We're not supposed to, of course, what do they say? Poo-poo where you eat. So there's kind of a lot of the corporate world has told us that we can't really flirt. So the art of flirtation in many ways has been lost. So what I believe is that if you can hold a person's gaze and smile for 3 seconds, right? You look in their eye, have eye contact, you smile, and just give it 3 seconds, 3 beats. I believe that cracks the window to possibly being approached or gives them the inclination that there's an interest. Okay, so that's one.
Fair enough.
Then the next would be in some small way, you want to compliment the reality of who they are. Not especially, what they have on. You can compliment what they have on. But like I was just talking to my 18-year-old daughter about this, who has, who's really likes this guy at school. And she's like, well, I don't know what to compliment. And I'm like, why don't you compliment the things that you like about him? What do you like about him? Well, he's got so many friends and he's always so, happy. And I'm like, trust me, there's not a person on the planet who wouldn't love to hear that you find the fact that they have so many friends and that they seem so happy really, appealing. So why not start there, So you want to compliment, and also that's cracking the window. And then the last thing that I think has been lost a little bit, and it doesn't have to be overt. It can be very small, but just a gesture of touch. the gesture of touch, not groping or rubbing or, but just a small gesture of touch in some way, I think also is a very simple but yet meaningful way of opening the window to, having a deeper conversation.
I mean, it just feels timeless to me. I mean, the only difference between now and maybe some time ago is I'd probably avoid it at work and to try to find maybe in the wild and less so at work. But I mean, a smile, I think people are so afraid of rejection, and a smile is such a nonverbal cue that say hello to me. I'm approachable, and yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just had a conversation last night with a gentleman who's like, okay, I've been seeing this woman in the grocery store every Saturday at 11:30. We obviously do our grocery shopping at the same time. I see her here, I see her there. And what do I say to her? And I'm like, why don't you say, I see you here all the time. My name is such and such. What's yours?
Right. There are no open sesame words. It's just say hello.
Hello. Yeah. So I think the thing again is, social media is wonderful on so many levels, and, our devices have revolutionized our lives in many ways, but we have really lost a lot of our social inclinations. Looking at someone in the eye. I mean, I cannot tell you how hard that is for people. When I look people in the eye, they look away immediately.
Right.
So
and God forbid you knock on their front door.
Oh, well, that's a whole different level. Do not come to my house. That is very different. That is very different. Oh my gosh. But I mean,
there was that one comedian that had a skit where years ago, if you would knock on somebody's front door, it was, it must be the neighborhood child. Today, it's like, what's going on?
Who's this? What do we hear? Close the drapes.
Right.
Yeah, I believe that's Sebastian, right? He does that skit. But anyway, yeah, I do think it modern flirting, if you will, the art of flirting, I think is another thing that it really fascinates me. And I don't think it's that hard, but I do think it is lost.
It definitely is. I mean, my relationship to technologies, I feel like you need to be so comfortable with it that you know when to use technology and when not to use technology. And I think meeting people and dating and finding a life partner, if it works for you, 100%. But as we know, for a lot of folks, it's a real challenge. And
so tell me your match story.
Oh, interesting. We met in real life, my wife and I. And as I was saying before the show started, I lived in Brooklyn, and that's where we met. And it was a Saturday afternoon, a beautiful Saturday in September. It was a Sunday. And she was just doing some homework. She was in graduate school at the time. My wife, Jessie's now a teacher, early childhood education. And I walked by. I mean, this is the way that I tell the story. The way that she tells the story may be slightly different. But I saw this beautiful young woman, and she was flipping her hair back and smiling and thrusting her hips out. And I was like, okay, I have to talk to this woman, or I'm just going to ruin her day if I don't. So, I mean, she was sending all of the signals. And of course, I walked up to her and we just started talking, and I got her number, and that was it. Now, the way she tells the story is I was just sitting there minding my own business, and this random guy.
Well, I'm so proud of you for having the courage. I don't know that that's going on these days.
Unfortunately, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Know. Yeah,
I think for a random guy to come up to a girl these days, I'm not sure that's happening. I love that you had the courage to do that you were so moved by her beauty and presence that you're like, if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. I love that. And I hope that there are, lots of people out there listening, and they'll be inspired by you, and they'll do the same.
I hope so. And you could read all about it. The whole story is in the New York Times.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. We were profiled in the New York Times style section when we got married, and the whole story. We had I was so embarrassed. the whole full color story. It was a thing. Yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh, good for you. That's like so Sex in the City. I love it.
I have it framed over here on the right side of the studio / office, and it's still there. So you'll have to Google me after the show.
That's awesome. I actually, that's another thing that I'm fascinated with is meetup stories. Like, how did it happen? Because you just never know. You just never know. But I do have so many amazing people in my life who are single. And I'm like, wait a minute, every mop has a handle. This cannot be for the rest of your life. Like what, so I there's just so many facets to this kind of problem, if you will. I mean, so many of us are just not meeting and mating and matching and, all the things. So I love that you had that courage.
Let me ask you this. I mean, one of the main problems may be that there's so much choice in the world now. And do you feel like people are waiting too long? They think that they need to find the perfect person that checks off every single box.
It is such a good point. FOMO is a major problem in dating, and it's especially true for men. So the statistics are that, the FOMO for men has a huge effect on their unwillingness to commit, because as long as they can see on a dating app that they've got 80 women within, 10 miles at their disposal, then why on earth would they pick this one that, might be, not the right one? Who knows? So it's a very good point. The misperception that there is more at their disposal, that they have more options than they actually do, because there might be 80, but maybe only one of them will give you the time of day. Right.
Right.
So FOMO is a huge issue in dating right now, and it tends to really, really affect men.
And so tell me about, I guess the other thing would be personality. And everybody's heard the expression opposites attract. And earlier in my life, I thought opposites attract was, I don't know, the conservative Christian and the Satan worshiper, just ridiculous, like opposites. And then I realized it was more of the personality of the two. It was the free spirit and the square and the person that's very rigid. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I definitely agree. I mean, I believe that, your relationship should kind of look like that, right? Like you should have like 20% if you want of,
like
your own, and then you meet up like 60%, So, I don't think if everything is perfect that you are growing and building and really enjoying and learning. So I do think that, you should definitely overlap, but, 60% is great. You need 20% of you and 20% of, your partner to kind of have their own identity and their own way of doing things. And as long as you got 60% to work with, there's a lot to build on there and a lot of joy to be had. But I totally think that it's okay for you not to be completely aligned in every single thing. But the other thing that's really not happening is people aren't just choosing, like, I pick you. Like, just like you went up to your wife, you're like, I don't know why, but I pick you. People are like, oh, I don't know if I'm not 100% sure. Let me see who else, Yeah. So I think if you just jump in many ways and say, no, I believe that there is something here that I can grow from, we can build on, we've got a foundation, at least we are like-minded in our beliefs and our values, then, you can build a life. You don't have to be perfectly aligned to build a fabulous life.
And so how long have you been with your husband for now?
This is my second husband. So I was with my first husband for 15 years, and my second husband and I have just celebrated 12 years, but we've been together 15 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So perfect balance.
A little bit, yeah. It's hard to believe.
And so what's the 60% in your relationship? What's the 20% that you have and he has?
Well, I mean, right now I am sitting in my little office and I am working, and he is out. This is the beginning of bow season, and he is a big elk hunter.
All
So
right.
he is in Oregon, hunting elk, and I let him go and do that. He's like, don't you want to come? I'm like, no, I do not.
So you're not an elk hunter, I take it.
I am not an elk hunter, and I don't want to sit in the woods, and I enjoy hot water and electricity.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I mean, that's something that he loves and he enjoys. And I love, the benefits of it because it makes him happy and we get delicious meat and, all that's great. But, that's something that and then I'm a beauty and style expert. So I go to the fashion shows and I travel and I have, an acting career, and, he's like, good for you. So, it doesn't all have to be, perfect.
And I think it is that independence piece. And for me, I was, not to say older, but I was in my late 30s when I got married, and I had that sense of independence, and I think it's been helpful. My wife also does not have a podcast, so
there you go. But I also think that there's something to be said for really trying to get married early and like making a go of it. I mean, granted, I know that many times people can regret that, but I have a lot of examples in my life where people were married in their 20s and they had their children young, and now they are celebrating a whole new, renaissance of life in their 40s and 50s. So, one person's, path is not another person's. So there's no shame in any game. You just want to, get out there and make it happen.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for all. I mean, you've made it happen in just so many ways. And how can people find out more about you, Andy, and all that you do?
You are so kind. This has been so awesome. You can, of course, go to shophomeandheart.com, where you can see all the products that I was talking about on General Hospital. You can also follow me on Instagram. I am the Andy Paige on Instagram, and I spell my name with a Y, like a boy. So it's ANDYPAIGE. And also andypage.com. So you can see my book and my products at girlygogarter.com and a little bit of all that. So thank you so much for asking. And thank you so much for this fabulous time. I've had a really, really nice time.
All right. Same here. It's been a lot of fun. And Andy, thank you for being on All Across America.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.